Hello and a warm welcome to The Scientist. Here on my channel you can find a lot about science. Why do we do science? What is science? How do you do science? In addition, there will be lots of small experiments to illustrate scientific facts. I will try to limit myself to science which is also relevant for normal people and experiments that most people can do. After all, no matter whether there is the Higgs particle or gravitational waves, I find extremely interesting. But let's be honest, this is not particularly relevant for the lives of the vast majority of people. I am more interested in questions like, what actually happens in a microwave? And is there a difference between a microwave and a cooking plate? But before we go into too much detail here in this video we first want to talk about very basic things, namely, what is science? What does a scientist do? And why does he do that? A scientist creates knowledge. More precisely, he tries to understand the past. From that understanding, he tries to make prediction about the future. And why is he trying to predict the future? Quite simply, anyone who knows the future has a better chance of surviving it. From this very simple definition of science, we can already draw a lot of conclusions. Scientific theories are nothing more than an attempt to explain the past. How good a scientific theory is can be determined by how well it can predict the future. A scientific theory with which I cannot predict anything is useless. A scientific theory that makes false predictions must be rejected or at least changed. And now an important point. The whole way we do science is based on the assumption that the future works much like the past. But who has ever claimed that? If your boss has been nice to you for the last 2 weeks, it doesn't mean he will be nice to you for the next 2 weeks. From this follows an important point. No scientific theory can ultimately and irrefutably be proven. Tomorrow something could happen that would destroy the whole theory. If you have a head buzzing now, because it was all a bit much at once, I'll give you another summary here. These are the most important rules if you want to work scientifically. First, you are allowed to question everything. Because if there is no ultimate proof, everything we regard as right today could also be wrong. Second, reality is always right. Any science wants to explain reality. If a theory contradicts reality, reality is always right, never the theory. Some may be shocked now. There is no absolutely certain knowledge? That is terrible. What are we doing? A scientist is very pragmatic. He says to himself, so there is no absolute certain knowledge. All right then. I take the next best I can get. And what is that? Relatively safe knowledge. The scientists always take their theories into account and check the predictions they make. There are now theories to which no contradiction to reality has been found for ages. These theories form the foundation of our explanation of the world. By the way, they are also the basis for the inventions that have made our lives so safe and comfortable. from heating and electricity to computers and mobile phones. The fact that all these things work relatively reliable shows that our explanation of the world cannot be so wrong. So that should be enough for this video, in which I tried to explain why we are actually doing science. For all those who thought it was all a bit much or went too fast, they can watch the video again. In the following videos, it will be about how and which we do science. Until then, yours, scientist.